equipment needed in this experiment is a conical flask, a weighing boat, a spatula, a clamp stand, a Buret clamp, a Buret, a pipette, a white towel, funnels, containers with sulphuric acid and potassium permanganate, and ammonium iron 2 sulphate powder. Please watch the video with basic acid-base titration to learn more about the chemistry and also the safety precautions that should be taken into consideration. Specific safety precautions for this experiment are that potassium permanganate will stain skin and clothes if spilt, and that potassium permanganate should not be flushed through the Buret and wasted due to it causing environmental damage. To begin the experiment, we will start by making a solution. To create the solution, we need to measure around 2.5 grams of ammonium iron 2 sulphate powder on the scales. Then, using a weighing boat, we put the powder into a conical flask. We then want to carefully measure 40 ml of sulphuric acid using a measuring cylinder, making sure that the meniscus is on the line. With the 40 ml of sulphuric acid measured, we can add it to the conical flask with the ammonium iron 2 sulphate powder. We then carefully give the conical flask a couple of swirls until it is completely dissolved. With this new solution, we can carefully pour it into the volumetric flask with a funnel. After this, we can then add distilled water up to the line. The final step of creating the solution is to cap it and tilt it upside down multiple times. All we need to do then is carefully pour some of the solution from the volumetric flask into a small beaker. We then want to use a pipette to carefully drop the solution from the small beaker up to the line and then release it into a new conical flask. When releasing the solution into the conical flask, we want to carefully dab the tip of the pipette onto the surface to ensure that there is no remaining liquid in the pipette. The rest of the solution in the small beaker should carefully be put back into the volumetric flask so that there is no solution wasted. Now we are just going to put a small amount of distilled water into a small beaker. Once you have your pipette, you just want to draw up the water to the line, just like we did with the other solution. And then you want to release it into the same conical flask with the sulphuric acid and ammonium iron 2 sulphate solution. Before we start the titration, we want to prepare the Buret. Firstly, you want to close the valve. And then you want to pour distilled water through the Buret and open the valve to flush it out into a beaker. As the Buret has been rinsed with water, we can start by carefully filling up the Buret with potassium permanganate. Make sure that the valve is closed before doing this. As some water may still be at the tip of the Buret, the solution is put through to ensure that the analyte is not diluted from the water. If you happen to get an air bubble like we have, just open the valve completely and carefully flick the tip of the Buret multiple times where the air bubble is. As we do not want to waste potassium permanganate, please make sure to reuse the solution that was flushed through by filling the Buret with it. Make sure you mark the volume to remember where exactly it was level with. To begin the titration, you want to open the valve, and at first you can let the titrant, which is the potassium permanganate, pour in normally, whilst also swirling the conical flask around gently. As you begin to see the weak permanent purple or red colour, you want to then slow the flow of the titrant down and just use drops to add it to the conical flask. Once the solution has a permanent colour after being swirled, then you can stop adding the titrant. Here you can see the three different levels, with them having a crimson sort of colour. On the right with a stronger colour and to the left with a weaker shade. Now to dispose of the solutions. Please ask your lab technicians how they would like the solutions to be disposed of, especially the potassium permanganate, but we are going to be using a beaker for the heavy waste. You can gently pour the solutions from the conical flask into it. Then make sure to rinse the Buret for the next person who wants to use it, and also make sure to put it back upside down so that it drains properly.